In this episode, I want to announce a little book giveaway. This week, I took delivery of the first 10 copies of my book, Autism, Wellbeing Plan, the paperback. I finally managed to get the paperback done. It took me a little bit longer than I hoped or expected. It's been about 4 months since I published the book on Amazon. But as they say, better late than never. I'm very excited, very happy that I finally managed to get this paperback ready. It's a hell of a lot of work, especially when you're doing everything yourself. So what I thought I would do, kind of to celebrate the paperback being finally in print, is I want to give away 10 copies to listeners of the podcast. Also to remind you that this podcast is now in video form. I'm recording video as well. So it's also going to be available on YouTube. Generally, I expect within a day or two of the podcast being live on your podcast player. It should then be live fairly soon after that on YouTube. That may vary, of course, but the idea is to have some more graphical aspects to the podcast. As if I'm explaining things, it generally helps to see charts and graphs and quotes from studies and things like that. So if you like YouTube or occasionally have the time to go to listen to some episodes, obviously I will tell you if there's some graphical stuff going on. You might want to also check out the YouTube videos. This is, of course, kind of for the future, for the next few months. For now, I'm just kind of experimenting with video and just trying to get it down a little bit better, my presentation style, trying to improve that a little bit. But back to the topic of today's episode. So here's me holding up the book if you're just listening to the podcast. So what I want to do, as I mentioned, is give away 10 copies. So how to get a copy of the book? All you have to do is basically just reach out to me any way you can. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you can go to my website, christianyordanov.com. You can either subscribe to my mailing list there. You can send me an email at cy@christianyordanov.com, or just reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and just ping me, message me, I want a copy of the book. If you subscribe to my mailing list, I will take it that you want a copy of the book. So the next 10 people that either reach out to me on social media or subscribe to my podcast or to my mailing list, I will contact you personally to if you're in the UK or the USA, I would just go to Amazon and ship you a copy, send you a copy direct. If you are somewhere else in another country, I will personally send you a copy of the book, and I'll even sign it. For what that's worth, probably not much, but I suppose it's a good gesture. It's a nice gesture. It's a gesture of my appreciation for you taking the time, investing the time to read this material, because I believe this material inside the book is life-changing. It will change not just your child's life and the trajectory of their life, but your life and the trajectory of your life and your whole family's life, and it will improve your whole family's quality of life. So I am absolutely adamant of this, that it will do that if you follow the advice with the help of your practitioner inside the book. And for those that are not yet aware of what the book is about, obviously I talk on the podcast about many of the topics in the book, but so the book is I've divided it in two parts, right? So in the first 5 chapters, I go over the key health challenges in autism. So we talk about the first chapter. Basically, I give you an overview of some terms and concepts. We talk about the all-important gut and the role of the gut in autism. So I go over some research where we talk about how the gut can influence autism severity, studies that have shown that gut dysfunction can affect things like irritability, anxiety, sleep problems, even aggression and self-injurious behavior. Then chapter 2, I talk about the immune system and how it is very often dysregulated in autism, and what this can cause and what can cause immune system dysregulation. Now, this is very important for you to know because a lot of those factors are within your control that dysregulate your child's immune system. You have control over many of those factors. So the idea is to reduce those factors that um, either overactivate or dysregulate your child's immune system, right? Then I talk about in chapter 3, I discuss gut infections, gut dysbiosis, which is an extremely important area to investigate and address in autistic children. I talk about bacteria, fungal infections like yeast, like candida, mold, and mycotoxins. Chapter 4 covers nutritional and metabolic imbalances in autism. So we talk about the all important zinc and copper imbalance, several deficiencies, mitochondrial dysfunction, elevated oxalates, just a ton of really, really useful information from my research, from the studies I've read, which at this point, it's close to 1,000 studies that I've read related to autism, children's health, toxins, gut function, all sorts of things, right? So a lot of that research made it into the book. So, many people, many families embark on a journey of research when they start out. And what I've done is I've actually done all the research for you. I've put it in a book form. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible for the layman. And I've also tried to just extract the most important things. There was a lot of stuff I could have included in the book that I opted against because I feel like it's like the 80-20 rule. If you follow 20% of the most important things, if you do 20% of the most important things, you will get 80% of the results. And then the final 20% of the results may take a lot longer, right? I guess I butchered that explanation, but the point is, if you do the fundamentals that I cover in part 2, which I'll go over in a second, you're going to get 80% of the results, right? The final 20%, when we say the final 20%, what I mean is, because every child, every person is so biochemically unique in terms of genetics, in terms of their environment, in terms of the pregnancy, the childbirth, the diet when they were growing up, all of these factors make us incredibly individual, incredibly unique, right? So the reason why testing is so important in autism is because you want to identify the exact unique circumstances or health challenges that your child is being affected by and address them. But if you cover the stuff I talk about in the book, so diet, supplementation, the testing, the sleep, hygiene stuff, and all the other kind of bits and pieces that I cover, you are going to get most of the way in terms of improving your child's health. Now, if you are so inclined, and many families are, you can do things like genetic testing, some much more advanced testing for like amino acids, all sorts of autoimmune antibodies, and you can really do a lot more investigation. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you cover what's in the book, you're going to get, I want to say, 80% of the results, right? In some cases, obviously it's a very variable thing. Every case is so unique. There's obviously certain cases that are rather intractable. And you can do a lot and get very little progress. In other cases, you can just run an organic acids test, do an antifungal, antibacterial protocol, add some supplements to the diet, go organic with the diet, and a lot of children just improve dramatically in the space of a few months, right? So point is, you need to learn how to investigate your child's unique case. And in chapter 6, so this is basically what the second part of the book covers. Chapter 6, I go over the most important tests. So the organic acids test being the most important, because there's so much bang for your buck in one test, right? So what you can test for yeast and fungal overgrowths. There's indicators for mold infection or mold toxicity. There's bacterial markers. There's nutritional markers, so vitamins B, 2, 5, 6, 12, vitamin C, coenzyme Q10. There's also NAC, N-acetylcysteine. Then you also get indicators of detoxification. So glutathione, as I talk about, that's extremely important to have to support your child's glutathione production, because it it just helps to detoxify all sorts of foreign compounds, heavy metals, chemicals. It supports the immune system, and helps to fight infections, things like that. So it's extremely important to know your child's glutathione status and support the glutathione production if it's not up to par, which in many cases it wouldn't be, because a lot of children have impaired detoxification capacities, and in many cases have an increased toxic burden. Then I also talk about stool pathogen testing, blood testing, food sensitivities testing, hair mineral analysis, and I touch on some more advanced tests such as mycotoxins, mold toxin testing, chemical toxicity testing, testing for autoimmune antibodies, and so on. Then chapter 7, I discussed the importance of the healthy gluten-free, casein-free, and soy-free diet. I show you how to implement the diet, why it's so important to do it, what are some potential risks with the diet, how to address those. I also talk about some more advanced diets, such as the low oxalate diet, and a few others, that and when you might want to implement those diets. Chapter 8 is all about cleaning your child's diet and environment. So this is an often overlooked area nowadays. I know there's a lot more awareness of how toxic our environment generally is. Obviously, plastics, cleaning products, aluminum, cooking utensils, and plastic cooking utensils. There's just a myriad of toxins in shampoos, antibacterial soaps. The list is nearly endless. So it's all about chapter 8 is all about mitigating the big ones. So cleaning products, fabric softeners, the soap that you bathe your child with, things like that, right? So there's quite a few tips there. Also, there's a section on avoiding food additives, which food additives to avoid. I covered the importance of an all organic diet. This is extremely important. Then chapter 9 is all about improving sleep. It's a short chapter, but it really, what I suppose the most important part of chapter 9 is just how important light and dark is for a person's circadian rhythm. So I cover some sleep hygiene practices that you can use to support really uh, your child's sleep as much as possible. So I cover the importance of why it's so important to wake up to bright light and be in bright, ideally sunlight during the day, and why it's important for it to be in a dark environment prior to sleep. It's just that's how we're designed. The body's designed to um, have dark at night in order to prepare for sleep. If it's not dark at night, then the body feels like it's still day and daytime, so it's just not producing the metabolic changes or hormones that kind of induce sleep, right? So you would almost say common sense, but not so much common practice is what really it's all about. Chapter 10 are the core 5 supplements. I discussed the importance of digestive enzymes, multivitamins, probiotics, omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and magnesium. I tell you which forms of these to get, some considerations around supplementation, do's and don'ts. Chapter 11, more advanced supplementation. So I cover specific scenarios like sleep, to support sleep, for anxiety, gut health, to support detoxification, to support mitochondrial function, to support pathogen eradication, to support methylation. I discuss antioxidants, correcting zinc and copper imbalances, to support cognitive function, and actually a ton more. So there's about, I think, 20 or 25 supplements that I discuss in the book in those 2 chapters. I could have covered more, but these are like, again, it's the 80-20 rule. These are the basics. They might not seem like basics when we're talking about 25 supplements, but as I like to tell people that are apprehensive towards supplementation, most autistic children need to be on at least 10 to 15 supplements daily, right? It's just an essential thing to do. So the quicker you kind of come around and understand the science behind it and the rationale behind why your child needs this daily supplementation of all these nutrients, the quicker you understand, and this is why I wrote the book, so you can get up to speed as quickly as possible, rather than disparate information sources here, conflicting opinions there. The quicker you understand that, the quicker you can help your child improve their health dramatically, right? And then, so that was chapter 11. And then in chapter 12, it's all about putting everything you've learned together. So we start out with just ruling out potentially serious disorders. This is an important part of the start of your journey of, improving your child's health. Some considerations around the organic acids test, stool testing, blood testing, which blood tests to run, some considerations around testing for food sensitivities, hair testing, another great tool in your arsenal, what to do about pathogens, when to use antibiotics, when herbals are a better idea, and then just some sample protocols for yeast, mold. We talk a little bit, a few about some prescription antibiotics and antifungals that are very popular for things like Clostridium difficile infections, for Candida. And then I just summarize a few other bits and pieces. I give you, there's a little section on expecting challenges. So I will do a whole episode on expecting challenges as your child's health improves. It's not a linear process. It's sometimes like it feels like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of thing. And I'll do that, a whole separate episode about that, because it's important to have the right expectations as you begin the protocols and the testing and the supplementation and so on. And yeah, and then I kind of end the book with an example protocol and sequence. This would be like a very basic the first 3 to 6 month of the health building journey, right? So, like I said, send me an email, subscribe to my mailing list, or shoot me a message, or tag me, or whatever, whatever way is easiest for you, right, on social media. And the first 10 people will get the book. I will also send you the ebook, so you can load it onto like an app. Like if you get the Amazon Kindle app on your phone, you'll be able to read it on the go. Some people prefer ebooks nowadays. So you get both. Also, once a month, I'm going to give an email subscriber a copy of the book. I'll send them a copy of the book. So subscribe to my list, and I'll just kind of randomly use some software that randomly picks a person. So give away 1 book every month. I really want to get this book into as many parents' hands as possible. It's really, I think it's imperative that people get this information, because I understand there's many considerations when your child is diagnosed with autism, or you suspect they're diagnosed. There's a lot of different things you need to do. Part of it is your own kind of journey. You need to, there's just you being pulled in a ton of different directions, right? But I believe, and this is shared by many practitioners out there, this opinion and this kind of stance is, it's so great to focus on the support systems around behavior and getting supports in school and so on and so forth. These are very important things, of course. And, even getting some counseling for yourself to kind of cope with the changes. These are extremely important things, because your mental health is also very, very important during this journey, right? However, as I cover in the book at great length, a lot of the health challenges that children are suffering from, unbeknownst to the parents, unbeknownst to the doctors even, because they're not investigating these things yet, because many doctors are not yet aware they're supposed to be investigating these things. These health challenges are contributing not just to a poor quality of life, but they're contributing to a lot of these so-called autistic behaviors. They're influencing the children's behavior, because the gut microbiota will influence behavior. It will cause changes in neurochemicals neurotransmitters, mood, cognition, sleep, heavy metals and nutrient imbalances will cause that as well. Nutrient deficiencies will contribute to this stuff, right? Toxins, pesticides in the food, toxins in the environment, all of these things have been associated with autism severity, right? So it's not just about being healthy physically, but if you improve your child's health, this is what I keep reiterating. If you improve your child's health, you will almost invariably improve their mind, their brain function, and this is, I mean, what better thing to focus on than your child's physical health, which by extension will include the brain, their cognition, their learning ability, and of course their mind, their behavior. When you think about it, right? For example, if you have bad bacteria, like let's say Clostridium, certain Clostridia bacteria, they've been associated with aggression, right, in children, and for example, Candida has been associated with giddiness, goofy behavior, unexplained laughter on your own, this kind of thing. So these things are affecting behavior to a great extent, and gut dysfunction can disturb sleep, and disturbed sleep can cause increased irritability, increased aggression, and just all sorts of behavioral kind of changes just because you're not sleeping. Think about it. If you have gut dysfunction, if you're constipated or have diarrhea and you're not sleeping well, are you gonna be all happy and yeah, everything is great, or are you gonna be cranky and pissed off? Think about it. So what many people still are not understanding is, and this is the point of the whole podcast and me writing the book, is what we eat and the state of our health is not just about the physical body. It's not just about growing up, developing the body and this kind of stuff, and staying healthy and whatever, having good immune function. It's literally connected to how we think, how we feel, how we learn. So these are the building blocks of a healthy child I'm giving you, and not, again, not just physically healthy, but mentally much healthier, much more able to learn better and so on. So extremely, I feel like this is the most important part uh, of the journey. This is why I wrote the book, and I want to share it with as many people as possible. So if you, even after we're done with this giveaway, if you can't afford the book for whatever reason, just shoot me an email. Tell me, look, I'd like a copy of the book, please. Whatever, Christian, please send me a copy of the book, and I'll send you a copy of the book. I'll send you the ebook. So you're. I don't want to be a gatekeeper to this information. Most of this information is already on the podcast. Will be on the podcast in the future. I'll be doing videos. Um, and there'll be I'll be converting a lot of the sections of the book into articles on the website. So this should not being able to afford the book should not be um, an obstacle to you getting this information, right? So if you know someone that may use the book, please let me know. Please get them to contact me. I will personally send them a copy of the book, right? I want to share it as much as possible. The only reason I wrote it put this information in a book is people respect a book much more than a few articles or a few videos on the internet, right? So it's not just all in one place, but you have some 400, maybe 450 scientific references in the back. You can verify the veracity of the information and the claims and the advice and so on of the book. You can go and read those scientific papers yourself if you're so inclined. Some of them are certainly, I believe, readable even for the layperson. And don't be afraid to dig deeper. But what I feel like for most people, the book will be more than enough, right? So yeah, I guess I made my point. Thank you for listening. I hope you reach out. I really want to share this book with as many people as possible. really, really. So please do reach out whatever way you can or would like to, and yeah, let's get this, let's spread this book far and wide. Let's do that. I honestly believe we are going to create tremendous positive change for many, many families. I hope at one point I can say thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of families. Hopefully we can help out. And yeah, please share the podcast with anyone that you feel may benefit from it. I've improved the hardware here, the mic, the audio stuff, so I'm going to be re-recording a lot of the information from the beginning, just so it's a better quality, more, because a lot of the information I covered in the beginning of the podcast, I feel like it deserves to be repeated again and again and again, and hopefully with me presenting it in a better way, with better audio quality, we can, and you sharing the podcast, we can reach more people. So I like to think that this episode 50 is actually like almost like a reset. I see it as starting from scratch, starting from zero. So the next episode, I will almost take it as episode 1. So we'll start again, hopefully with me presenting better, audio's better, everything is better. And of course, with your help, let's share this information far and wide. So thank you so much for tuning into this 50th episode. Again, please reach out to me however you like, and let's get you a copy of the print book of Autism Wellbeing Plan. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one.